morning. We always do this in the morning, and then
I
I say good morning, and then people are not watching it in the morning.
Right.
Hey everybody, it's Emily Petroff and Stacey Schumer.
Hello.
You are joining us for Mondays with the Montana Medium, and we are super duper excited because we have a really super wonderful special guest today. So Piper Tocco is joining us today, and
Yay.
Piper is Stacey's sister. And so I feel like this is going to be really fun because we've not had a guest on our little show yet. And so
it is
to be able to debut this with Piper is wonderful.
Piper, yes.
Yeah. So I am actually going to let Piper tell what she does because she does so many wonderful things. I will not do it any justice if we don't have you. So tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do and all of your wonderful, lovely gifts.
Right. Okay. Well, sometimes it's so many I forget. I
Love that.
We'll start with like the base of it, and we'll go from there. So I'm Piper Tocco. I've lived and grown up in Billings. And right now, what I'm loving the most that I get to do for people is healing, intuitive healing. So I'm able to take people and just sit with them in life and sort of feel into some of the stuff that they have that's going on.
Right.
And then I use different modalities to help them move energy, step out of life cycles, start
Cut
new
cords.
patterns. Right.
She cut I don't know how many cords on me the other day.
Right. And
What?
so, yeah.
Yeah?
So I use light. I am a
Light
little
worker.
conduit of light, and I help channel that into your body. And energy and light work really helps heal mind, body, and spirit. So I'm able to put that in there, and it just moves around, and it's smarter than we are.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it knows what to do.
Yeah.
And then I combine other things, like I love teaching yoga, and yin yoga is my gig.
I was just Piper does this amazing, if you are local to Billings, we're gonna make sure that all of her contact information and the way to reach out to her and support her are in the thread below. So if you're local to Billings, you should definitely check out her full moon yoga, and she does regular yoga classes as well. Both are wonderful, and I was just at her Sunday yoga class, and my mom and my sister both came too. And oh God, it was so exactly what all of us needed. It was really lovely. So
Full moon.
Oh man,
Yoga, which is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I use yoga to help people come back into their bodies. Right. Most of us live such a crazy, hectic life now, and it feels like we're like, I gotta do this and I gotta all the time. And so I think it's really important to like sit and really breathe, not pant like a puppy. You know, we're all like, no, I want you to breathe, and then I want you to get back into your body and actually feel what's going on in here, because our body shares messages with us all the time, but we generally aren't in tune with them because we're not used to listening.
Yeah, we're spending a lot of time in here. With
And out here. In here, out here.
Right.
But it's like, go a little bit further.
Right.
Like every episode, I think I always do this movement. Piper gets in there.
Yes.
And she's fearless. She's really a fearless healer and a light worker at its finest. So one thing that I love to do when Piper's working on me is explain to her what I'm seeing and what I'm going through. And what was so awesome is just a couple of days ago when she was working on me, she got right here, at the heart chakra. And I'm like, wow, Piper, all I see are these purple crystals shooting out, and then these roses totally above it floating by. And what did you say?
I visualize when I'm working on people. I meditate, and it increases the power, the intention, the healing. And at your heart, I visualize a rose, and it's perfect, and it rolls around. And so she was seeing what I visualized, and I've never had anybody talk me through what they were personally having going on at the same time. So it was really beautiful to
Yeah.
put
That's
those
cool.
two
Validation.
together. Right,
Mhm.
right.
That's
super cool.
So,
So Piper's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also do Reiki.
right.
Yeah.
I say energy work, but it's Reiki that
Yeah.
I'm doing, which is channeling. Like, to me, it's the most beautiful, like, white golden light energy
Yeah.
into people's bodies.
Oh, I think I misunderstood. So that was during a Reiki
Oh,
session.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Emily, I
Reiki
was losing my mind last week
Oh,
and the week before. I tend to be doing that lately. A lot of movement and growth going on with me. So Piper's like, will you please come and see me? And I'm like, yes, yes, I will do that because we need to reach out, remember, and we need to help heal and do that. And so I was like, yes. And so I'm laying on the table. And she doesn't. She's just going through my whole body. And it was really cool. I will walk her through it from now on because I think it's good for you to know too
Right.
what's coming up, what I'm seeing. And it's great to be able to
That's
communicate that way. But yeah, it was really cool. I loved
That's
that.
really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Cool.
was. It
Cool,
was
cool,
fun.
cool.
So-
Well, when we talked about doing this and brainstormed, one of the things that I came up for me, and then we kind of visited about it a little bit, was sharing the like kind of the differences and or just like I don't know, maybe it doesn't have to be differences, but masculine and feminine, and
Yes.
and the energy, and just like maybe some of the old paradigms that people have around that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff around masculine and feminine, and that is also one of Piper's really lovely little gifts that you
She's
have a lot
so
of knowledge about, right?
Good.
Yeah.
Right. I can usually feel within a person the masculine and the feminine energy, and then, listen, it would be beautiful if we all would get to that point where it was balanced, like yin yang.
Yes.
That's not a
Yes.
realistic thing for us to really achieve, but you can realize that, okay, so I feel like I may be lacking a little masculine, and so I need to do things to help pull more of that energy out so that it can balance a little bit more
Sure.
for myself.
What are some things that we could do to pull that out a little bit?
Okay, so like masculine energy, it's very forward moving. It's decisive. Like, it's easier for us to take action, make decisions, stand, right? That is yang if you're looking at the yin yang, right? So interestingly, you just go to that, like, you want to, if you're not feeling as masculine, you want to like work on yang things.
Okay.
So that is moving your body and quicker, right? Like, you could go do exercise, you could
Right.
lift some weights.
Mm-hmm.
There's even foods that are more yang. So
Cool.
think about popcorn in a kernel. It starts out as yin, and as we pop it, it's yang. So that's a
Cool.
yang
That's
food,
very
right?
cool.
So that's the way that I think we work on that stuff. And then let's say decision making, that's your, one that you can't do. I think that then we really work on starting in a little seed, planting a little seed on how can we start to get ourselves set up so that we're doing it in little steps so we become more comfortable.
Right.
And every time we do that, that seed grows just a little bit more, and we're enhancing that energy. Energy follows action. We have to remember that.
Yeah.
We can talk about, well, I really wish I was this or that. We have to do it. Even
Do
if
it.
it's teeny,
Yeah.
you gotta start.
I love what you just said, and I know not as much as probably both of you about this, and for a long time I operated my life with a lot of masculine energy, and I didn't know that, right? And so just in the last probably decade, I've really worked on bringing out the femininity in me. And what came up for me as I was listening to you just now, I just came from a perspective coaching session with a client who owns this business, and what I'm doing in partnering with her is the words I used were not as elegant as Piper. I said, you really need somebody to kick your ass and hold your hand at the same time.
Yes.
And she was like, oh my God, yes, that is exactly what I need. And so when you describe that, it's like sometimes when I'm with somebody, right, and when I'm coaching with them, it is about supporting them through masculine or feminine, right?
Right,
What
right.
energy is it that they
Right.
need to bring into their space, into their life, into their business, whatever it is.
Right.
So I love that you described
Right.
it like that. That's
That
super
is
cool.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. Listen, we don't have to do it on our own. We have
No.
this idea like, well, I better just do
Isn't
it
that
myself.
weird?
It's weird. We have to stop. We are very collective and we are meant to be together here. So let's say you're struggling with it. You're actually so much better off if you would just go find that person
Yeah.
to help you, you know?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be forever. Maybe it's
Yes.
once, maybe it's
Yeah.
6 times,
Yeah.
but
So true.
right, it's like anything, it just helps you pull,
Yeah.
and you have that support person, because we just
Absolutely.
sit there, all 3 of us do that,
Oh.
like, hi, we're just here, like, I'm your little cheerleader in the background, and you do
Right.
stuff and can
Mhm.
help push you,
Mhm.
you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. And the other phrase that I use all the time when I talk to people about coaching is that I'm going to be your best friend and your worst nightmare all at the same time. So
Yeah.
that is like that
Right.
masculine and feminine energy.
Right, it's both things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I
My,
love that.
feminine to masculine energy, I joke about how in this life, thank goodness, I was gifted a pretty face, pretty feminine, or else sometimes I swear to God I'm a Viking going "Rah!" with a beard and this fierce fight. Let's
Right.
fight on, right? And then
Right.
I'm going, stop, right? You both have said to me, no more fight. We don't need to fight
Right.
anymore. I'm like, but I'm a Viking.
Right.
Not in this life, sister. You're not. Right.
Right.
But I can hold strength
Right.
for people and really no fear. Like I can stand with anybody in whatever they're going through. Right.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that is a lot of masculine strength too. To just hold,
Right.
which is amazing.
Right. Right.
So Piper, can you explain, because I love how she explains this, I really do, it's amazing. What about very, very masculine men that hold sensitivity? Where is that at? Because I have one in my life and I adore him. It's my husband, I talk about him every show.
Right.
And when people now, because I'm sure everybody on their Facebook feeds are reading about how we're trying to cast the masculinity out and all this stuff, it is not that. How can a man hold their masculinity
And the feminine.
and the feminine?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Can you
That's
explain that? Because she does explain it the best. That sometimes I try to say what she says and it comes out weird, and I'm like, what did I just say?
right. Right. So our feminine is this internal world. It's intuitive. It's quiet. It has more calm. It has nothing to do. We have to remember with both of these, it has nothing to do with physical appearance, right? So right now, the divine feminine is, her fire is lit and she's ready to come back in a beautiful way. This is not
Right.
anything bad at all. And men now are harnessing and balancing that energy. So a man that has that divine feminine energy, which they all do. We all have both
all
masculine
of
and
them.
feminine. You're not one or the other. It's like light and dark.
Yin and yang.
They don't exist without the other.
Right.
And if you're off balance, it's just some stuff that we have going on that we need to just look at and try to heal. So men that have worked on it or just easier to embrace, they are more intuitive. They're more heart-centered.
They're not as aggressive. Like,
Right. It's a quiet
It
and a calm,
is.
right?
Right.
To me, the feminine I see as space holders. We can sit in quiet and just be there, with a hand or without, whatever you need to be. And so that is what you see in men too,
Right.
like, because we do see these men now that, how this just came to me. So
Perfect.
a man that has really embraced his feminine energy is able to look at women going through things right now, and maybe they're upset or angry about generations and the way that women had been treated, and they're able to realize this has absolutely nothing to do with me. I will
Right.
not get angry or upset, and I am here to hold you, to hold space for you, to allow you to work through this in quiet and calm, and be that secure, stable person for them if that's what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Love
If
Wait,
that makes
yeah,
sense,
it's
right?
amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
I am lucky to have a man that can do that with me. And the last few weeks have been really tough for me. And I just think back at Chase and how he had no idea what to do. But guess what he didn't do? He didn't try to make me feel bad. He didn't tell me to pull my shit together. He didn't try to do anything like that. He just sat with me and said, we're going to get through it. We're going to be all right, which was amazing.
Right.
And so I'm lucky to have that. I could probably use a little bit more feminine energy myself in some situations. So he's doing really good work. And what I'm hearing right now from my guides and angels are, you should probably work on a little bit of your sensitive feminine energy, Stacey.
Right? Get some of that. let
Help
out.
him a little bit.
Right. And this full moon was all about that. So if you've been feeling that at all, it was really about harnessing that feminine energy in both sexes. It's heart-centered and just honoring ourselves and our inner world.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like all of when we look back at like our societal conditioning, right, around that, I love what you said about how like this isn't new. Like it's not new that men now possess this quality.
No.
They've always had it. Back to the beginning of time, right? Back to the beginning of humanity. It's just that society made it okay or not okay for them to exhibit certain pieces or parts of that, right? Like there were certain things in our society that said, like, it's not okay for you to be that way. It's not, men are like this and women are like this.
Right.
Or, you know, right? And it's all of this stuff that then creates a lot of judgment, doesn't allow us to accept ourselves for who we really are, no matter what that looks like.
Right.
And to be able to, I don't know, sort of come clean about like, that quality that I've got is really not serving me in my life, and I need to work on the other pieces.
Right. I think that's so true.
It gives people permission to act not authentic to. So I feel like when people say boys will be boys, what does that mean? That's giving them permission to what?
Right.
Be angry and aggressive and hurt each other, and then she's okay. She's just being emotional and that's okay. Let her just be emotional and just sit there in it because she's being a girl.
Right.
She's being an emotional woman, and that's fine.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
So much yuckiness in that. And I think, you know, I work with a lot of women, and I can't tell you how many times I have said, and this was something I too had to go through, is that crying was a weakness to me, right? Like, in order to be strong, I have to hold my shit together and not have any kind of emotional response for that exact reason. And what I've learned is that the opposite is actually true, right? Like, the more that I'm willing to be vulnerable and transparent, share my shit, talk about my stuff, and own it full on, and be okay with whatever emotion is coming up for me at the time. That's fucking power, right? That's power.
That's what we are about. We hold both.
Right.
The only thing that really separates us is our gender in ways, and that is it, right? But even that, we're all the same.
Right.
We're all functioning the same.
Right.
So it's so funny because having boys and then having Callie, my little girl, I do notice things. Like Callie will still find a baby or whatever and fold it in this thing and carry it and nurture it. But then she'll also take her baby doll and get back with her brothers, right? So she'll use it as a weapon. Where with boys, they are a little bit more physical, right? They have these things, but all of my children, and I love to watch that, hold both.
Yeah.
My
Right.
boys are
Right.
super sensitive. I think about Corbin. My God, he's just this lover.
Right.
And we need to support that,
Mhm.
right? And then my fighter, we need to support a little bit more quiet, sensitive things.
Right. It's so fun.
And so it is balance. But yeah, I like to watch that a little bit.
I think it's interesting, right, to look at how, and I subscribed to this for a long time, how our society conditions even children, right?
Mhm.
Like, this is what girls do, and this
Right.
is what boys do, and
Right.
and God, it. Although that might have been the story that they were told, they being whoever the fuck they is all the time, out there, back there, it doesn't really. I feel like it doesn't really apply anymore. And
Right.
the more that we can let go of those like
Conditions.
biases and those
Right.
conditions,
Right.
the more we're able to just like.
Well,
This
whatever.
is what I'm doing, not like this is what boys do or this is what girls do.
Right.
This is just where I'm at
This is what
today.
I'm
This is
doing.
what I feel.
So, my one son brought home a book the other day, bright pink, white cat on the front of it. And he does stuff like this. He likes pink, he likes softer things. He's extremely intelligent. He's a reader of things, like he can read stuff. And because Chase and I have both had to kind of condition ourselves out of the yucky, polarizing conditions of what society does, it was great. I held up the book and I said, guess who this came from? And he named it right away. I said, good for him for not being afraid
Right.
to do that.
Yeah.
Good
Right.
for you. And so
Right.
we really did praise him on, I like your basket.
Right.
And it's got a cat on it and it's
Right.
pink. And
Right.
I love that.
It's becoming more and more
Acceptable.
acceptable,
Right.
less of a trigger. Like I
Right.
can remember when my boys were little, it was this like the beginning, at least for me, of boys wearing all colors.
Right.
Right.
My dad was not down
No,
with
no,
that,
no.
right? It was like he's wearing a pink shirt. I'm like, yeah, they think
Right,
it's cool,
and I
right?
like
Like
it.
it works.
Right,
yeah.
So and now he's totally numb to it.
Right.
But it's been a decade or more of
Right.
really
Right.
conditioning him to
Right.
that, like, those things don't mean anything anymore.
They don't.
Right?
They
And
don't.
when people are near us that have something to say about it, I always am like, don't you say a word.
Right.
They are just fine.
Yeah.
They are not hurting anybody. They're exploring everything that they need to explore as a human. And the less guilt and shame we can give people for exactly who they are, the better we can grow together and evolve.
Yeah.
I truly believe
Oh,
that.
for sure.
Oh, yeah.
We're just learning when we let kiddos do that. We're learning, and then we are helping them honor themselves.
Right.
And when we do that over and over and over again, it's so beautiful because then we have less of those yucky behaviors that as parents we all worry about, right?
Absolutely.
Right, because if you know who you are, and also know that it changes all the
Yes.
time, that it is not static, that every day, every moment you are a different version of yourself,
Yeah.
and that is the way it's supposed to be, then they're less likely to look outside of themselves for answers.
Absolutely.
Right.
One of the biggest things I did in my younger life of coming into my 20s is knowing, okay, I'm a woman. I need to find a man that has a good job, that can support me.
Right.
I'll stay at home and have babies, and I don't have to work, and he can go out and work. Oh my God, what a horrible experience for me. A little bit, there was some good in that too. But one thing that I realized, I am not that type of woman.
Right.
I am not that, and that is okay.
Right.
For me to give myself permission to say, no, I really want to go out and, shake some shit up and do my thing. And I can also be a mom, but I can also do this as well. And I felt like my partner at the time was very much in a masculine place too. So he was like, listen, what are you doing? Why can't you just be at home and be fine here and have babies and have my house clean and have all this stuff? And I'm like,
Right.
I can't. It was suffocating.
Right.
So I gave myself permission to just kind of be. I don't have to do that. Break that structure.
I tried 3 times to with my children.
Right.
Yeah.
I am not good at it. I
Right.
am not good at that role. And
Right.
I tried because of what society
Right.
says that
Right.
women
That we
should do or not
Yes.
do. Let me tell you, I have an ex-husband. He is one of the most wonderful men out there. He was like, I call him the baby whisperer.
I know,
Even
he's
now,
so
to this
lovely.
day,
Right.
he will rock a baby forever and a day. I mean,
Chase
he
is
is
the
just
same way.
amazing in
Babies and
regard
animals,
to that.
they're just like this. Come
Yeah.
here, let me see this. Where when we go into a place, it's so funny because somebody will have a newborn baby and they're like, "Here, Stacey, see the baby," and I'm like, "Chase, Chase, there's a baby," and he's like, "Oh, you give me that thing." I mean, he's so nurturing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're so good. I just told Piper yesterday after yoga, I'm like, I love my children the day they turn 13 years old. I'm like,
Yes.
oh my God, you're amazing little person.
Right. Listen, I can hear you on
Oh
that
God, yeah.
So we've talked about like, why am I not a seahorse?
one. Right.
Right? They're male, by the way. Chase had to tell me that, but I'm like, here you go. Go on. You should know how to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's okay. It's okay.
Right.
I can be loving, I can be nurturing, and I enjoy that.
Right. We don't have to be what anybody else does. And then the other thing that I think is a good reminder is just because you thought that you had to and you did it for a while doesn't mean you don't get to put that down
Totally.
And move away
without
from it.
any guilt or shame again. Like,
Thank you.
this is not for me, and I'm gonna have to lay
Move away
this
from
and
it.
then move on to something else.
Mhm.
And please do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we'll all be better off if we're not
Right.
miserably doing the
Right.
things that we feel like we have to.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Becky.
And
yeah,
getting
I
really
agree.
clear about what those things are is takes a lot of, I feel like for me it took a lot of reflection, and still even now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's an evolution. of
Uh-huh.
things.
And it
Yeah.
never ends.
Yeah.
It's like people thinking that if we heal or we're on this path of evolution that like we get to a certain point
And we're done.
and maybe you're a little like, I don't know if you can see him, but like Buddha up there. I think no, sir.
No.
Not in this life for us. We are
Right.
going to be in a continual state of learning and healing and evolving.
Growing
And if
and
we can just
doing.
see the beauty in it,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It's a journey, not a destination, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, we just talked about like check the box, done with
Yep.
that the other
Right.
day, and
Yep.
it's like no, I don't. That isn't the way that it is,
Right.
and yet my mind, my program that I have wants me to like get done with that, be done with that, and move on to the next
Right.
thing. And I'm like,
Right.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah.
Where I looked at you and I'm like, I thought I dealt with all this shit.
Right.
What is wrong?
Right.
Why is it here? I thought I did this.
Right.
No. Here it is.
Right.
And I'm like, oh man.
Right. I find those tough things are kind of like these little cute trolls that are dark and they sit in the corner and they're like in the mud. And
Right.
as soon as you think you've dealt with
You're like,
them, like for me, it's boundaries. I'm like, I already dealt with boundaries. And as soon as I say that, like within a half an hour, they're just like sitting there with this little smile and they're like, hi, we got another boundary issue for you. And I'm like, okay. So I think that thing that things go away totally is also something false that we've told ourselves that happens when we can't.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what do you guys feel like? How can we use that masculine energy or that feminine energy to really like go to the next place, the next level, the next step, right, in our life or in our business or with our family or whatever? What do you guys? What comes up for you when we talk about like how you can really like, I hate to use the word capitalize on, but right, like really embrace that energy?
Ooh, gosh, I don't know. When she was just saying that, I was just like, shave my Viking beard.
I
shave my beard.
Just joking.
Oh gosh. Well,
Piper.
okay, so
I feel like she's so good at this.
well, the way that I kind of do it is I really feel like energy shifts and change all the time, as we know, right? So like I was saying, I think right now, within the next few days and a couple of days previous to this, we're dealing with some really great feminine energy. So
really quick, I'm going to stop. Feminine energy can hold what? strength.
Right.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Right.
So a lot of
Both
people
sides,
think
really,
like,
but-
oh, geez, you're the feminine energy is the nurture and the what? No.
right. You
Man,
can
my
do-
feminine energy right now is like fire.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Embracing who I am every freaking bit.
Right.
Every bit.
I would think of like, even though she's masculine, think of like Joan of Arc. Think about those women that could quietly go and fiercely walk a path with such strength and solitude. That to me is feminine, right? Right. So
Because the difference. So let's talk about that.
Yeah,
because
right,
I think
okay.
there's a really good difference, right? That quiet, confident, fierce is the word that kept coming up for me, and then
Yeah,
I used it,
yeah.
fierceness. Because what's the difference between that, right? Doing it like that with feminine energy and doing it with masculine energy. What would it? What's the
there,
difference? What would it look
perfect.
like? Right.
So masculine is more. It's quicker. We're moving faster. We're more determined.
Don't
It's
you
like
feel
kill,
it's
kill,
loud?
kill.
It
Yeah,
is
like,
louder.
yeah.
Yes, because feminine is quiet. To me, feminine is yin, masculine is yang. So masculine is more fiery, it's louder, it's brighter, right? It's like, wow, here we go.
And in some ways, it can be kind of distractive,
It
right?
can, right. Both can have their very,
Sure.
it's just like anything. We can have positive and negative. So
Sure.
there's your balance,
Within
right?
each one, right?
Right. That's why it's important. And listen, if you see that, that's why that looking at self is so important, because then you can look at yourself and see like, this is happening or that is happening, and then I need to work on that,
Sure.
right? So I have a tendency, Stacey's way more masculine. I am at times so feminine that
It can be polarizing.
yeah, and decision making is tricky for me. And
She'll
I
call
knew
me
that.
sometimes and I'm like, just do it. Put that boundary up.
Right. And I used my husband for years as a way to make decisions on things that I actually had told myself I almost like I wasn't capable of doing. And so that has been something that I've worked on to increase the yang and that masculine energy. So that's important. Look at yourself, and we can see you guys and then if you're having trouble seeing, like really, if you're having trouble deciding, am I more masculine, am I more feminine, do I need balance? I'm your
Piper, let me know.
Come and see me, because there are times when I do my work, I'm touching people. There are times as soon as I touch people's feet, I can feel it. I'm like, whoa! My body will even feel like it moves one direction or the other, knowing that that each way they go. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's really neat to be able to do that and feel it. Yeah.
And what about if my partner or somebody that I coexist with on a regular basis, what if our energies are not aligning, right? Not aligning either in a yin yang way, or not aligning because maybe, I think there's a lot of things that come up for me when I think about not aligning, right? It could be that we're too similar and now we do things the same, and that creates conflict sometimes or challenges. So suggestions or thoughts about that?
Oh, okay. That happens a lot, right? Because like we said, we're fluid and we're changing constantly, and that would be a dream if as a couple or in a relationship
Just go like this.
that we went together.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen, you guys. So
Love shifts and changes.
right, and we kind of are like this, really. We're like woo woo woo. So there's going to be a lot of times that you do feel that way. I often feel like it's a really great time to go within yourself, because we can't, and we know this, have the other person change and we have no power that way. The only power we have is within.
Yes.
And so I think that's a really good time to look within yourself and sort of take stock of like, well, what is it that's bothering me that much about that? And can I do a little work on that internally to fill my own cup? Because that's generally what it is. We just need to fill our own cup a little bit more. And then the other thing is that it's really important to remember that things always change. If you're feeling frustrated today or lonely, nothing lasts forever. and try not to sit with yourself in that for too long. And we have to take the opportunity to connect over and over again.
Right.
So every time we can pull our energies together, that's better for our relationship, and we feel more connected, and to try new things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
In that way.
I love that. One of the things that you just said reminded me of, like, when you said nothing lasts forever, and sometimes just writing that
Write it out,
right? One of my favorite, she's a psychotherapist, one of the phrases that she uses in some of her books and in some of the things that I've watched and or listened of hers is that she said, tell yourself that you're not going to die. Because although we know that logically, sometimes our brain gets into this fight or flight kind of like response to things, and it really is about survival, right? It becomes, the brain goes into the survival mode. So I remind myself, my sister and I have a joke between us, like when there's something going on, I'll say, and you're not going to die, and she's like, you're right, I'm not going to die. So it's this thing about like, oh, if I remind myself that, and even just saying it out loud sometimes helps me to go, oh yeah, okay. Like it brings that out, brings me out of that like animal survival response, right?
That's perfect.
So,
and if you're in that response when we deal, if you're in that fight or flight when we deal with relationships and when we deal with other people, guess what? It's really easy to do. Bolt. Every time. But listen, I actually, unless you are in danger, and you know if you are and you need help, we would be here to help you. But I think we don't bolt. I think we try to sit with it and try to figure out, because listen, if you don't do your own work and we run, you're going to end up in that same cycle again. And it's heartbreaking because you're like, well, you put that blame on the relationship and the other person, and we can't do that. So,
same thing.
I think
the
it's
same man in different bodies.
Right.
Over and over, and it was because of the capacity or the not having the capacity of love for myself.
Right.
So I was choosing somebody that couldn't give me that back. It was hard. It's really hard.
And it shows up in friends too.
Right.
It totally
having the same friends. And it's fun to look at, for me, like the friends that I had before I started working on myself, and the stories that were continuing, the situations that were continuing to play out in my life, versus now the friends that I have in my life that since I've been working on myself, I have these really amazing, and I find myself saying like, how did I create this amazing connection with this person? How did I create this wonderful relationship? How did I, like, wow, that's so great, so great, so great. Whereas before,
what do you think is different? We're honoring ourselves completely.
Yeah, and I think like it's like, it's kind of what you said about like, I let go of it being somebody else's like
responsibility.
Right. So it's like I started to take responsibility for and like do the work, like you said, like dig down and go like, what is it about me that continues to create this person that's showing up with a different face every time, right? Like, why do I have these friends who let me down? Why do I have these friends who lie? Why do I have these friends? Whatever the story was, I'm the fucking common denominator. I'm those people. So once I took responsibility for that and I got clear, now what I create is these amazing connections with people. And some of it was about like setting boundaries and you know, those kinds of things. And it's less about a boundary for me and more just about like, I'm not down with that. Like,
not doing that. That's not okay. Right.
So that is, it's like we really can rewrite our story.
Absolutely.
Every minute of every second of every day. It's like the coolest thing ever. And I really hope people will start to like
do that.
Wake up to that. And listen, here's the thing that you have to remember.
You don't have to sit in the same thing all the time. I was saying last week, I'm like, there's people in my life that if you were to go to each section of my life and ask them, do you know Stacey Schumer?
Right.
Holy hell. Some of them are going to be like, yeah. Psycho.
Right.
Not good. Well, because in that part of my life, I was shifting and moving and evolving. Right. And now you have other ones that are like, oh my God, you're such a beacon of light. And I'm like, well, don't ask over here. But that is just growth.
Right, right,
Being
right.
okay with it.
Right, and realizing we're creating our reality here
Constantly.
constantly. And what I was gonna say was, don't think in that you aren't going to get stuff that happens,
Right.
because that isn't true.
We do.
we are still here, and so life happens, and there are things. But when we do our work, you have a different perspective about it. It's so much easier. It's not. You don't feel like the world is out to get me.
And polarizing.
Right. It's just so much easier to realize, like, oh, God dang it, the car just broke down.
Entitlement.
Right.
That's another thing that would come up with me. Like, oh, well, I'm entitled to this, right? I wasn't growing. I wasn't connecting to my fire, my light that was good for me to take full responsibility of my life. I remember looking at you and saying, Emily, you helped me take full responsibility for my life. The bad, the horribleness, the stuff that I never would wake up and be like, oh, I'm going to go out today and have this happen to me. But this is my life.
Right.
And I'm okay with this. I love myself, moving forward. That was huge, and you helped me do that.
It is, for me, doing that for myself, right, was one of the most painful things that I ever did. Because we spend so much time, I feel like, hiding and like not wanting anyone to know all of those shortcomings and all of those things that we're embarrassed of or that we have shame and guilt around. So it is really painful, but one of the most wonderful gifts that I ever gave to myself. And that then I feel like we can give to other people. It was courage to stand in that truth.
I remember you looking at me and saying, Stacey, this is your life. Yours. You're responsible for your happiness. You're responsible for your healing.
Right.
And I knew all this stuff, right?
Nobody else is.
But I didn't know what that even meant. Or how to get there. And then finally, my angels and guides are like, you're there. Just say, okay, and see it, and then start creating, right? Connecting and creating. Connect and create, which was beautiful.
Cool. Any other thoughts on masculine, feminine that we didn't cover or that you guys want to say before we...
Timeline, really quick, I'll say this. From guides and angels that have talked to me about things, and I know we talked about it maybe in our first episode, but in 2012 where everybody thought the world was going to end and we were all going to die. Yeah. I even was like, oh my God, maybe we're going to die, right? There was some major shifting going on that I could feel. Well, in a way, it did a little bit. We had been in a masculine-based society since the beginning of time. And the universe, kind of into 2013 a little bit, right at the beginning parts, very end of 12 into 13. The universe, God, said, okay, thank you, masculine energy. We're going to go ahead and let the feminine come forward. And so it switched. And that's amazing.
Right.
It's awesome. So the feminine's not trying to kill out the masculine. We're just stepping forward saying, all right, here we go. Here's our strengths. This is what we're doing. Right. So it's not about like, oh, these women are going to go burn their bras again and blah, 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 blah. No, but look, there's women that are taking positions where we can be heard, where we can move forward and we can give it a try. And that's amazing. That's awesome. Let's do this. Hell yeah. Right. And we need strength. And we need masculine energy in that feminine as well to be able to do that. So we're in it. Yeah. We're in it. So the matriarch is here.
Like you said at the beginning, one can't exist without the other in the same way that light can't exist without darkness. So it is necessary. Both pieces are really necessary in order to feel fulfilled and really lovely. And
Yeah, I think so too.
Cool.
Sure.
All right,
I know, and she's my sister.
Oh, so thank you
so much
for being here with us today, Piper.
It was great. I loved it.
We all get together sometimes, and like we said, by doing this, get together and we're throwing stuff around and doing it. So it's really cool to have Piper here to be able to bring in her piece to it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for having
Now,
me.
one question that I have, just so that for those of you who maybe aren't local to Billings, is there a way, like, do you do stuff virtually ever?
Okay, so one of the things that I can do is distance healing.
Okay.
And I'm getting ready to be able to do yoga and stuff online.
Okay.
So, but right now I can do energy healing and intuitive healing from anywhere as long as we can connect a little bit.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to interrupt it. Piper is also a card reader, and she
yeah.
does these weekly reports and forecasts.
It's energy stuff. So I feel energy. And so now on Mondays, I do share like a weekly energy report. That's what I call it, almost like a news report.
It's great.
And it's what's going on.
Every time I'm like, whoa!
Right.
All right.
So it's the energy for the collective that I intuitively channel and then share on my Facebook page, which would be Piper Tocco, or my business page is Tree of Life.
I'll put both links in the chat so that you guys can
Right.
reach her. So if you're not local to Billings, you can still connect with Piper. You also, for those of you, I don't think we ever talked about this before either. If you're not local to Billings, Stacey does phone readings.
I do. I
as
have
well.
clients all over the world.
Yeah,
It's
so,
really cool.
And then I also do virtual coaching. So
Yeah.
yeah. So all of us are accessible.
We're reaching out.
Virtually, as well as if you are a local Montanan and or Billingsite. Is that what we're
Yes.
called? Billingsites? I don't know. Something
It
like
sounds
that.
good.
Okay.
I like that.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Bye.
See you next week, and we hope that you have an amazing balance of masculine and feminine in your week this week. And if you
Yes.
don't, and you need a little support, you just get a hold of one of us or all three of us.
Right.
maybe.
Right.
That would be the best.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.